Hey, this is email workshop number 2. We are recording. Hey, everyone in recording land. Welcome to this workshop. We have a lot of people here live. Whenever you can, try to join us live because we have fun. But if you can't, no worries. We're going to have a lot of fun today talking about your emails. And a lot of people here were on the first email workshop where we didn't realize that there was a lot to talk about with every email. And it was a long one. It was long, but it was good. It was a really good workshop. So this one, we're actually going to put your emails first. In the last one, we had a bunch of emails. Then we put everyone's emails last because we thought, hey, save the best for last. But then people had to wait to get their emails. So now they are first. So a lot of these emails you're going to be seeing are emails that people have shared with us. And big kudos to them for doing that. And really what we want to see is the emails that you've created and even your best emails. Because what we can do is we can work together, myself, Christina, Tim, and everyone that's here live. We're all going to workshop these together. What could be improved with these emails? What could be changed? And with that, let's get on with the show. There is a private Slack channel. You can see a URL right there. Once you join through there, we'll get you access to that. And what we're doing is we're taking notes there. So especially for those in the recording, if you aren't here live to see that whatever's cool happening in the chat, you can join that Slack workspace and see all the notes there. Cool. Quick promo for a webinar coming up. I'm actually doing a webinar where I'm going to be building engagement programs live. It's like a cooking show, but no food. Wow, we'll bring food. So it's going to be great. Just talking through different designs. So we'll be talking through strategies, but instead of having slides, we're just going to have Pardot up. And I'm just going to be building different things, experimenting, clicking around, trying things, very workspace and workshop-y. A little bit different from our standard slide presentations, but it should be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll turn it to a happy hour, but it is coming up. There is the registration link in the chat. And if you're catching the recording and maybe you missed this particular date, it will be recorded and up for you on the website. Check it out. We also have more events coming up, but we'll promote those later. So here's the agenda for today. We're going to talk about our amazing rockstar guests here today. It is not all me by any chance today. I'm dwarfed by these two experts that are joining us. So we're going to talk about who else is here with me today. And then we're going to get to your emails. And we're going to go through each one with the idea of how can we make it better. And there's going to be a pattern you're going to see with each email and what the questions we're going to ask. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the new email builder on Pardot. Who is stoked? Raise your hand. Throw what your thoughts are about the new email builder in the webinar chat. Who is stoked for this new? And have you not heard of it? If you haven't, we're going to talk about it. We're going to kind of get you excited for it if you haven't already heard about it. Yeah, I see an OMG yes in the chat already. Bring it on, right? So we're going to start talking about it now. And then there actually is an event that we're going to point you to at the end of this month where we're going to do a live build with our team. Crazy Malcolm, who is amazing. He knows 1,000% more about HTML and CSS and building and Pardot than I do. He's going to actually do a presentation and he's going to feature the new email builder. So we're going to talk about that then, just to kind of get you excited about it. Some email design tips, and we're going to unleash Tim on you today. He's amazing. I'll introduce you to him in a second. And then resources and Q&A. Cool? Sound fun? Let's do this. Okay. I'll introduce myself real quick, then pass it to you guys. And really the kind of the way we're doing this introductions is there's 3 of us. So who is the sample size of people that are telling you what we think about your emails? Well, the 3 of us. My name is Casey Cheshire, and did I skip a slide? There we go. Okay. And I'm happy to be here, founder and CMO of Cheshire Impact. 12 out of 48. I can update that number. It is now, gosh, what is it? It keeps getting larger. I believe it's 18 out of 48. Wow, it keeps growing. 18 out of 48 is the number of mountains I've climbed in New Hampshire that are above 4,000 feet. It's my goal to climb all of them. Tim, take it away.
Sweet. Well, I'm the guy in the middle here, and I help with the creative at Cheshire. My niche is definitely emails, email design, email coding. My number is 5, and that's because I have 5 little kids running around my house as we work from home. So craziness, yes. But love emails, love everything to do with them, love talking about them. If you guys have any questions, you can Slack them. Be sure and happy to answer and help you out. I'll pass it on to Christina.
And while we're doing that, if you have kids, go ahead and type the number of how many kids you have to show Tim some support. All right, take it away, Christina.
Tim, you definitely are. You must be a master of chaos by now, for sure.
For
yeah,
sure,
maybe some parenting tips later as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Anderson. I'm on the marketing team here at Cheshire Impact. My number is 8 because that is before COVID. I used to frequent karaoke nights. So that was the number of karaoke nights that I had done probably just within a year and a half. So very much looking forward to when karaoke comes back again.
Absolutely. We need to make that a company event. I've been working on a Drake song for a long time. Do I actually want to do that? I don't know, but at least I know it. So
yes.
We shall see. But 8 is very impressive because it's hard for me to even get this one down. So please record that. Yes, and it'd be a fundraiser. It'd be a fundraiser for a nonprofit as us all doing karaoke on a webinar.
Oh
Would you join that? No recording. If we would have no recording for that one, that's for sure. All right. So this earlier slide you saw already, but the caveat for this presentation, there's only 3 of us. Well, is that there's 3 of us, but we picked the right experts here. And the idea was to give you a different look on your email from different kinds of people. Now, also the caveat is if we're not your buyer, then take it with a grain of salt because we're going to give you email best practices. I like to say first principles around email, but definitely take it with a grain of salt. And when in doubt, test, right? When in doubt, test. Make sure it's your actual end user buyer that is giving you the feedback. That said, you very much have the feedback from a fellow marketer. I'll try to put on my big guy hat and be like the executive, tell you what I think from the executive point of view, if that's who you're emailing to. Tim giving you the details in the middle. Maybe something's off here and we could adjust it or design wise. And he knows a lot about design that actually converts. So knowing what he knows about this, would this actually work or could you change something? So we're trying to give you a little bit of everything here, but it is the 3 of us. So again, we would rely on you. And so again, there's a lot of people here live. So if you have some thoughts and some feedback, definitely put it in the chat. We'll talk to it. We'll talk about it. And then the people listening to the recording can benefit from it as well. All right, on with the show. 45% of emails are spam. What does that mean? That means that, okay, what does this mean? What does it actually mean? This means there's a lot of email going out there that is either getting filtered out by a computer or being filtered out by fellow humans. And even the stuff that gets through to the humans, most of us are like junk, 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 junk. People are deleting emails before they're reading emails. So what this means is even if you're not spam, you could accidentally look like spam and get filtered out, never make it to the human, or the human thinks you're spam and then doesn't even read you. So there's a lot of things against us here. So even if you have the prettiest email, maybe it looks like spam and no one actually reads it. So we're going to really be thinking about how to get these emails through. And as we promised, your emails first. All right, Christina, take it away.
All right. So this first email is it's an external newsletter and it's going out to monthly to their dealers.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. So the audience are the dealers.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of like partners, you're thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then this is the zoom in of the email, what you might see above the fold, and then it continues on and I put the text in there as well.
Got it. And is it more of like a newsletter? So it's kind of keeping us top of, like, what's the goal? I think the 2 questions I'm always thinking about is who's the audience and then what is the goal?
Right. So the audience is the dealers. And then the goal is, I would say, to keep the brand top of mind, but then to also inform them of the latest news that's happening with this brand. Yes. Okay,
cool. Great. So a couple things, and I'll just start talking, and then by all means, Christina and Tim, jump in and dive in. A couple quick things that come to me right off the bat. I'm not a fan of the view as web page. For some reason, I feel like this is a holdout from when, things were changing and we had mobile and like, what, people are viewing this on their mobile, and instead of making it responsive as an email or design, we just sort of like, we had an out, which was like, go view this as if it was a web page. But I feel like these days with the way that email goes, if you just design it right in the first place, you don't need that. And then it's almost like if the most important thing was at the very top and you're taking up with that, it's like, we're kind of wasting space above the fold. And I'm always kind of considering what kind of things are being shown before they have to scroll down, because maybe they won't. Maybe they just kill it before they scroll down. So I would kill the view as a web page. I've seen a lot of stats on that, and like nobody clicks on that. So it's like real estate that we don't need to use if you just do a little more extra design on that. Second and final thought, before I pass it over to you guys, is, there's a lot of space on this. You got company logo, the name, the branded. I like that you're branding this thing, right? And that guy, handsome fella, and it looks like he's doing what your partners do. And there's something to be said about that. But it maybe could it be a little smaller? Not that we want to shrink the guy, and maybe it's a great photo, but like that real estate is so big. I think sometimes we think our brand is stronger than it is, right? And let's just assume maybe it is strong. Maybe this particular brand is strong. But let's assume for the moment it isn't. Let's say it's not strong at all. They could care less about it. That's a good way to like think. Then you've just sort of wasted space with View's webpage and this title when we really want to get to it. And really, the sooner you can get to the value, the better. So what I'm looking to do is, getting the things up higher. You could even use like an executive summary in that spot, or just get right to it a little bit higher. I do like the high production value of that image, but I would like to just get that content a little bit higher. What do you guys think?
I can jump in real quick if you don't mind. In Casey, I definitely agree with you on the view as web page. A lot of people, when they're coding, I'm guilty of it at times too, that it's just kind of placed in there as, placeholder type things, but it is missed out real estate. Kind of the way that I like the design is clean and simple, as having your company logo up in the top left-hand corner, real small, gets that brand right across, and then it leaves you extra real estate where you could put something on top of this image. I'm going to get a little technical. I wasn't quite as technical last time, but in emails, there is a thing called VML. It's basically where you can put code on top of an image. Perfect real estate to be able to have that branding and visual aspect, and then being able to put the executive summary, like Casey said, on top of that image, and even a link for a convert, whether you want to push them out to, somewhere on your website or something like that. And the last thing that I kind of like to just kind of mention is I love the 50-50 columns. I would like to start with the content copy on the left hand side where you're reading from left to right, and then have the image on the right hand side. I know that it kind of goes back and forth per the newsletter, but I just kind of like to start where your eyes with the content on the left. Those are my
I like that.
Little quick.
Yeah, good point that you can have things overlapping. It's a good way of using that content, having your great image, but also getting that content up higher.
It is tricky. It is Outlook is very difficult sometimes to get it to render correctly, and you do have to know what you're doing and in the code, and it's kind of hard and complex, but if you get it, it does work out to your advantage.
Absolutely. Christina, any thoughts?
I would say for this one, the call to action, at least just what we're seeing from above the fold, is very small. Right here, you at the very bottom in highlighted hyperlinked, you have watch the clip and share. So if you really want people to watch the clip and share, I would almost put it right underneath that "did you miss the show" question, and really just make it in plain sight, so then that way your recipients do take action, because otherwise they very well could just skim right over it and then just never take action.
Yeah, that call to action just really prominent, the value really prominent for sure, and don't make them sort through for the value.
Absolutely. And also, if it is an image, if it's a show and that image off to the left, it's almost better to get a screenshot of what you were doing with a little play button on it. If you're looking to get more clicks to show that show, that way then you have a visual of what you're looking at, kind of thing.
Yeah. You guys know about The Hustle? Maybe Christine, you can throw out a link to it. I'm a new fan of this. It's a newsletter. By the way, if you all sign up for it, I think they can send me a hat. You guys know how I love hats. It's free though. But like, check this out. Just because I'm sharing my other screen. So it's like, okay, it's a newsletter, but then Hustle, it's just their thing and they get right to it, right? And it's just one particular example, but it's something to check out because and then very, very quickly, it's like the one big idea and you get people remembering particular topic. Okay, the one big idea is a section, the snippets is a section, Q&A is a section, right? And so I don't know, it's just another example to look at, but it gets right to it, right? It's like their brand is little, the brand, you recognize the inside this company, one little, maybe a third this size, and then they get right to the value. And to Christina's point, you just highlight that stuff right away. Good stuff. Okay, and it continues. So let's just comment on this real quick. And the good news is we don't have to rush because we put all your emails first. So this is what's great about this is it's value for the people here, the people listening, the people watching. So so Christina, any content on this, or is this just the thing continued? This is the newsletter continued?
This is the newsletter continued, correct.
Cool. You do have sections. You have like the promotions, kind of like the Hustle, which is cool. The sections. I don't know if I like those red squares. I do like me a red. My Jeep is red. I like red, but what would you do, Tim? Could you do something cool with those squares?
They seem a little big for CTA, in my opinion. If you downsize them a little bit, I'm big on different colors. Red is a little bit bold for me. I like to go a little more muted, so it's not kind of like right in your face. I do know that this is coming off of their branding.
Yeah,
I would say so. I mean, most people do have their branding with their CTAs. So a little bit, I would say smaller, definitely. That's a full width of a 50% column. I would almost go half of a 50% column on that. And then I almost would, to switch up the sections a little bit, give a little better design. So you have 50-50 all the way down, maybe throw in a full width one here or there, just to kind of break it up and give it a little bit more visual for it.
Yeah, I think there's maybe this is obviously we're not scrolling through, but even if you're scrolling, there's a lot of these. So whenever there's a lot of something, it can tend to make you discount them and not as effective. And and I don't know if you have attended the webinar on testing, but the question of which color in the call to action works the best has been answered. And it's any color that's not in the queue in the palette of your brand. So, and I know, to your point, Tim, red is the color. That is the thing. Use that for your promotions header, use that for even the background. But for that call to action, consider lime green, right? Consider magenta, something, maybe not magenta. I don't know, something on the principle of that, but consider a green or something completely different and use it sparingly. Maybe there's one thing you want to highlight and then you train everyone else to know that the other thing is the supporting. Or what if, the first call to action, I see a lot of them are stacked, US sales kit, there's just too many of them, but maybe it's like you call attention to one of them with a starburst, you got some follow-up ones outside the starburst. Just something like that might be just not too hard, but then kind of increase the conversion rates a little bit. Cool.
Casey, I noticed one other thing on that. Give me your feeling on that. It looks like the content's right justified. That kind of throws me off a little bit.
Yeah, like there's a margin on the left, but not on the right kind of thing. It looks like maybe the margins are different too, because like this section up here versus this section.
Yeah, I mean,
over here, this section, we could just blame it on Christina for clipping it this way. But.
You could totally blame it on me.
So yeah, to your point, maybe just a quick CSS check to make sure that you're using the same formatting throughout, and not to violate violating the margin. Just is like one of those things that just, I don't know.
More white space is better, is the way I feel it.
Yeah, agreed. And I might even try, something starburst, some kind of thing for that call to action would be good. Yeah, something maybe like in the shape of the logo or something is like click in this thing. Cool. All right, here's the text body.
And then that's the very bottom of the newsletter there.
Gotcha.
And one of the thoughts that I was having, and it's hard again because I'm not your direct audience, but just my general thought on newsletters is that so even in that second slide that we were looking at, there's so many calls to action and there's so much going on, which means that there may be so much happening at your company, which is very exciting, and you want your dealers to know about it, but it could be overwhelming to them. I don't know if you have polled them or asked them or look to see what content each dealer is clicking on consistently, and then possibly segmenting out lists. So then that way, maybe you're only sending a particular section of your newsletter to different segmented groups of your partner list.
Right.
It's just something to consider, because like I said, you have a lot going on. But I know that if I got an email such as this one, it would be a lot for me to scroll through in the busy day to day.
Mm-hmm. And I would say even the hustle gets too busy sometimes. And then it's a really good point around, if you got all these call to actions, which action do you want me to take? I think we talk about even this, like when we do our updates internally with our marketing, like there's a lot of things. Christina does a lot. She said she's part of the marketing. She is the marketing team, but there are a lot of things going on. And so if you can only highlight one or two things for the team, what do you want them to see? And I would say with a newsletter, start out with value. If they're only going to click one link, put the link that will give them the most value first. That's the call to action, because that's what hopefully keeps them. They get that value, and it keeps them from unsubscribing, right? If you put the sale thing first, maybe you're going to lose them. Put the value thing first, and maybe you're the number one business click after that. Like if you want them to get the kit or to order today or something like that, that comes second and third and fourth. Almost like a newspaper, puts the stuff in most important first, second, third. Maybe that's what we're doing here too. Or the fact that we have promotions afterward and we have the value first. Maybe that's what's going on here too. But just consider, more is not necessarily better. Of course, test it out, test on the stats. If people are clicking every single one of your links, kudos. But typically one or two calls to action most is being consumed. And also one other thought to consider, and this to your point, Christina, maybe you have some call to actions, but sometimes just put the whole content in the article. And the hustle does that. They put the whole thing in there, so you don't have to click away to anything. I think sometimes we're really focused in marketing on getting that next click, when maybe we should just be focused on getting the content to the person so they stick around. It might be less work for you too, having to go put it on the website as well. Good stuff. All right. By the way, anything else, anyone in the Zoom webinar chat, anything else on that email, go ahead and throw it in there, and we'll address it. And then as we're going through this, we're all really in this together. We're all the experts. We're all peers. We're all in marketing here. So whatever your thoughts are, you throw them in the Zoom webinar chat for sure. So with that, on to the next one. What do we got, Christina?
All right. So this one, the goal is to get recipients to register for the webinar. And
Nice.
then the audience is, so their audience is group insurance. So P&C, property and casualty, and then life and annuity.
Sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's get insurance. Who has insurance out there? If you have insurance, raise your hand. If you don't say anything, because then someone will try to sell you insurance. Just kidding. I'm actually a fan of the header of this. We've got a lot of details right away. It's large, but we're using the space like Tim was talking about earlier. The dates on there. By the way, dates aren't nearly as important on webinars as we think they are. As noted from the people here today live and the people here not today live. But dates are helpful because it lets you know that there's something going on live. But then after that indication, not as important. I do love that it's all happening up in the header. You got the title. Maybe a little long for a title, but at least it's there. And then I love that your company logo is a little tiny square, right? It's not about you. It's about this webinar and the person receiving it. And finally, that register button is like loud and proud right at the top. I'm a big fan. What do you guys think?
I agree. I totally like it. My thing would be, like you said, with the webinar and the date, make that tiny, almost like the size of what the View browser page was before. Doesn't need to be huge. Can be just tiny up in that corner.
Yeah.
And then break up. I'm a big fan of having the title with a subtitle. So have a short, bigger
Yes.
title with a subtitle under it, and then your CTA. That way, more bang for your buck on that one.
And they kind of have a sub, but like make it one bigger than the other, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It kind of space it out. And one thing I would say, one of the things that Christina does, which I really liked it too, is I've seen her put, just like you said, Tim, that the date small and near the register, right? Put the date near the register. By the way, I have no problem with it being up there. It's fine. But sometimes you can make it even smaller and put it underneath the register. And then people know it's an event. They should click there now, give a sense of urgency near the call to action. But yeah, good stuff. Any thoughts, Christina?
I agreeing with you too. I love the fact that the call to action is super clear. It's right up on top. As soon as I would get this as an recipient, yeah, register now. It's so easy for me to find. So kudos there. And then for the body text, I would almost want to keep that just to maybe one intro paragraph, and then the topics that the webinar registrants are going to learn, maybe consider bulleting those. So then that way it's just super clear to the reader the value that they're going to get from your webinar.
Yeah, that's smart. The bullets makes a lot of sense. There's different kinds of styles of people where some like get to the point and some like show me more. I'm not going to take your action. So you kind of need to plan for both. And I get the sense that with these paragraphs, you're right. We're able to hit the people that want a lot of data. But what about the people that don't want a lot of data? Like I would say that all the text below, too long, didn't read. A little bit of formatting, a little bit of changing things around, and I might read them. And I think it may actually, for me, even go back to the title. Understanding that this is all about, and again, grain of salt, these are just thoughts. We're just trying to help each other out. If this webinar is about focusing on the future of insurance, or what like consider that's the title. And one thing that I wish wasn't the case, but people don't usually like fun titles. Okay, I've presented dressed as a cowboy at Salesforce events, Clint Eastwood, and my topic is all about like the Wild West of spam and this and that. And then I've had like, very, very specific titles of like 7 things you need for email deliverability. People show up to the deliverability ones and they may or may not show up for me dressed as a cowboy because they're like, email outlaws, what does that mean? So one of the things I learned from that experience was that the title, if I can make it a little less artsy, at least the title of the thing, make it much more of what this is. If this is like the future of insurance and what you need to know, boom. If you just said that instead of all these 2 lines, webinar, the future of insurance and what you need to know. What you need to know now, boom, register now, boom, okay. And then one thing I would say is there's some white space in between the header and the text. Don't need to do that. Let's make Tim get rid of that. Magic. And then if you get them to read if you have 4 paragraphs, I don't want to read any of them. But if you have, like, to Christina's point, a paragraph and then some bullets, I will probably read your paragraph because that's all there is. And then put the rest of the paragraphs below the bullets. That'll probably shift it below the fold here. But at least you get me to read that first thing. And also, you got to write this first paragraph like it's a news article. So if they're only going to read 1 sentence, what are they going to read? If they're going to read 2 sentences, what are they going to read? And again, the point is to get them to go to the webinar. So, so oftentimes, we've had these conversations internally talking about the situation, pandemic and I get it, but like this for me is artistic, and sometimes the art. I wish it wasn't the case, but it's almost like get to the point, but then do the art thing after the bullets, maybe. So it's like this webinar, like, yes, it's important. If you don't know this stuff, it's dire problem. You need to know this, and then maybe some art afterward. But it's almost like you got to be a little bit more to the point and less of the artistic, great copywriting, but just more of like getting to the point. I digress. Anyone else?
Yeah, my also, especially for webinars, coming from the design and the visual side of coding these emails all the time and stuff, I always like for webinars to have some type of picture of the presenter. Sometimes
Yes.
it can't be done, but it's nice to know who's presenting. And again, it goes back with what Christina said, as far as, put in that one paragraph, put in some bullets, put in, who, what, when, where kind of thing, and then give a picture of that person. Because at that time, now you have an overall, you have the title, you have a subtitle, you have the register button, you can see who it is, and a brief description. You have all of that right on above the fold, and you get more of a chance for them to click.
That's a really good point. And I would even put it like, you can put it anywhere, but I would potentially put it, here's the email, like over here,
Yep.
You could do, many
Definitely.
options, but like, here's a person. Clearly, this is why Tim is there. Hi. Make an eyeball. So, because consider that, and then maybe you could even mix it up and have like their bio down here, and then the text paragraph with bullets is over here. It mixes it up so that you don't have this big chunk of stuff. And by the way, I do like the repeat of the register now button, but keep it the same style as the above one, right? I see blue and I see rounded and I see purple and I see squared. Just kind of consider what you want to do here. But I do like that they repeated it. And to your point, the presenter stuff can go up here. If there's 3 of them, I get it. It wouldn't be that format, but 3 of them, maybe you have their faces down below. But it really humanizes the whole thing. I think sometimes we're trying to be professional and we forget that we kind of want to see how these people are going to be fun, and so, there's a picture of the 3 of us for this webinar, and you joined. You even listened to the recording, whoever you are. So consider those kind of things. That's a really good point about the faces. Really good point.
Casey, I love the idea. Maybe you can go into coaching. That looks like a great play.
So you guys see that too when I draw? You guys all see that? I wonder if the recording sees that. Probably.
I think so.
Cool. All right. See, now I got to turn off my pen. Say. Any thoughts from anyone? Joining live. Any thoughts? Any things you would change? Anything that makes sense or doesn't make sense? You can always disagree too. Everyone can disagree with each other. It's totally fine. We all just test it, right? It's not your idea, my idea. It's just test it and see what happens. Good stuff. All right. I love a good, now I got to get rid of that. Casey's such a noob. Annotation noob, clear. All drawings. They're there. So, all right, cool. New email. Christina, take it away.
All right. So this email, the audience is customers, and it's sent to them a month after the sale. And the goal is to get the customer to review the business on their shopper approved page. And I do want to just say a little disclaimer. The name of where it says my name is, it's not actually John Smith. I just put that there as a filler for confidentiality purposes,
Sure.
just so that way you're not wondering that. But yeah. So that's the situation.
Okay, cool. And so the formatting of that is you as well, right? It wasn't like it had a different name. Did it look like that too? Or was it just like all the same?
So it looks like this. The first name, the first name would be the person of who the recipient is.
Yeah.
But then everything else was kept the same except for obviously where the company was blurred out.
Right. But like John Smith wasn't smaller in a different color font.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It was
just
all
making sure, because that would be really weird. Like, my name is John Smith. Like this is dynamic content coming at you. Okay, but we're just kind of cleaning it out for people.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to start? Who wants to start with this one, Tim?
You can start on this one.
Yeah.
Casey, my big thing is I'm big on branding. I would like to know where it's coming from, kind of off the bat, even just a little logo or something up in the corner, just to so it doesn't look like spam, that it's coming from a non-sender of some sort or of anything like that. So, and I'm big on visual too. So, being able to get a little bit of imagery in there or something,
Sure.
or, kind of, other than that, I like the spacing between the paragraphs and everything. It gets to the point on it. Yeah, that's where I'm at with that one.
How about you, Christina?
For this one, to Tim's point with the imagery, and then I see that you have a very nice big fill out survey here, call to action. My take on this email is that it's almost like it's crossing the line between personal text and then corporate marketing email. And for those of you that were with us last time, we touched on this a lot because so your like corporate marketing emails are the ones with like a lot of images, a lot of branding. And then your personal text email almost kind of looks like this, but maybe it wouldn't have the fill out survey here button. And if it's a one-to-one email. So for example, if you're addressing this person by the first name and it's only coming from one individual, the president of this company, consider personalizing the email a little bit more. Like you may not actually have to say, my name is so-and-so and I am the president of X company. You could simply just cut to the chase. They know that they purchased your product. You know, they purchased, your product. Maybe just like keep it to one paragraph and then you have like the little link to the survey, just kind of like you do in that third paragraph there. Casey, what are your thoughts? I know that my thoughts may be a little controversial.
I think it's time for me to retire. No, I mean, spot on. I think, and we had in the chat too, Jed was asking the same thing about the idea of HTML elements on personal emails. I think what we have here before we even get to the email is the question of, should this be a personal email or should this be a corporate email? And then our email webinars, we talk about the differences between the two. And the most important thing to do is not blur the line. So you want to either make it completely corporate, to Tim's point, it's a corporate email, be more corporate, or completely personal. And if it's completely personal, like John Smith compose new message and wrote you a nice email, right? But I think where the confusion happens, and any confusion tends to make us think that it's spam. So we're going to avoid that. Is that it's a little bit of both. And so I was reading this as you were saying this, and this is spot on. I'm the president of the company, and I heard you made a purchase, and I wanted to personally thank you for your business. But yet I don't want to personally thank you for your business because I'm having an automation send you this email, right? That can be dangerous. I could be like, really? You're thankful, but you send me this, and it's clear now that it's probably automation, even if you're not too familiar with automation, because you have squares and things that don't quite look like, it looks kind of like a letter marketing wrote, right? So it's a little dangerous. And then does the president send a thank you to everyone and say, fill out the form? He might, or she might, whoever it is, in this case, John Smith. But man, it's dangerous. I'd almost feel more comfortable if it was a corporate email thanking you, and there was like a picture of the team saying thank you, and then like, tell us what you think. We want to know what you think. Here's a link. Or maybe just if it is from the president, you do want to have this personal note. That would mean the email comes from him. So if people have any feedback, they can hit reply and he gets it. Anything short of that is like, like the reply goes to marketing or something, or the reply goes to no one. You run the risk of being like, oh, wow, this is great. And I once got an email like this from kind of a famous author who has his company. And I got an email from this guy, and it was like, and the subject tricked me. I thought it was from him. And so I was very excited. I was like, oh, the guy wrote me an email. And I opened it and I realized it's not actually him writing me an email. It's like he doesn't have control of his inbox. So I don't trust any other emails from him anymore. And I don't open any of them because I was kind of disappointed. So these are just things to think about. But one option would be it's a corporate thing. To Tim's point, you have a logo at the top and it's short and sweet. Thank you to the point. Thank you for making this purchase. We all really appreciate it here at the team. Here's us smiling. We thank you. Please tell us what you think. We'd love to hear that. And if you do, we're going to send you something, or not. Just tell us what you think, right? And then it's okay to be automated. People are okay with that. It'd be more dangerous to have it personally come from the president. But let's say he's like a really cool dude and he really wants the feedback. Shorten it up a little bit. President's not going to write this thing to you. If he is, he's also not. Presidents don't say that, right? So they don't say, my name is so-and-so and I'm the president of the company. They don't say that. Spam says that. And this is no judgment, right? But like I get spam emails on LinkedIn and they say, I am so-and-so and I am such and such from this and company. And then they pretend like they know me, right? And it's like, okay, people don't typically introduce themselves like that. He'll just say, hi, first name. I understand you made a purchase and I want to thank you so much for doing that. The team and I really appreciate it. If you have 2 seconds, if you want to hit reply and tell me your thoughts or use this handy survey link, I would really appreciate it. Sincerely, John Smith, President. great. And then it's rational to think that maybe the president wrote that email because they don't have that much time, but you imagine they had enough time to send that note. Maybe they fill it out. So those are my two options. What do you guys think?
I really liked the idea that you had about having like the picture of the team and everyone with their faces. It really humanizes the brand and the company, because what makes up a company? It's the people.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I think it was on one of your podcasts, Casey, on the Hardcore Marketing Show. Hey, you shout out to the Hardcore Marketing Show. But I think that one of the guests said that it's people will fall in love with the people at your company and what you're doing. And it's the people and the relationships that make the people stay, or keep the people from purchasing from you. So I love the idea of highlighting the people and them saying, oh, thank you so much. Like, really appreciate your business. Love to know what you think. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, totally. Either way is totally fine. Just, I would pick a direction. And then if you go personal, you get rid of this box down here. Was it this color too?
Yes, it was that color.
So they took our advice on the green, right? It definitely gets your attention, but do that in the corporate email where you can have green boxes. And then on this email, keep it to that nice blue in text right there. Don't hesitate to reach out, and hopefully the reply goes to him. So yeah, great stuff. Really, really a fan. There's just a few tweaks, and you could pick either of those directions, even A/B test it to see which one gets more surveys completed. You could totally do that. Good stuff. All right. Next one. Who's excited about another one? I am. What do we got? What is this?
All right. So with this one, there are a couple calls to action. So the goal of this one is first to get the recipients to play their webcast and get educated on the upcoming elections and the potential impact for the economy and the markets. And then the second call to action is to register for the upcoming virtual event. So it's almost like the webcast complements the content that they'll consume for their upcoming virtual event. And then the audience, as it went out to all their prospects.
Cool. I'll just start out. That is a really important topic. Nobody knows what the heck's going to happen in the elections. Nobody knows what's going to happen with the economy based on any of those elections. Very important topic. None of that comes from this header image, right? So that's my first thought, is like, I agree. I'm not probably even your target audience, and that's a very important topic. And there's a sense of urgency to that, because if you don't make a decision by November, whatever, like, it's happening and you're a part of it, and you can't dump your stock when it's at the bottom, right? So, or like change your investment strategy. So you need to know this stuff now. And there's also webcasts that are coming up, event reminders. These things are happening now. So borrowing from some of the earlier comments, using this header area. I'm not a fan of the graphic. By the way, no one is happy right now with the elections. So maybe not so much just call election. We run away, right? We don't want to see it. We don't want to talk about it or any of that kind of stuff. But it's like, okay, what about the election? So kind of harping on the earlier conversation around webinars, what could you do here? Throw a date in there. Maybe it's a clock ticking down into, maybe it's the calendars flipping over, and it's like the days before the election or the days before our event, and like limited time. And it's not even fake urgency. It's like real urgency, but you put all that stuff in that first graphic, so that especially if the people you're emailing are like, get to the point, it's all right in there. That's my thought. What do you guys think?
I would agree with you with the real estate at the top, Casey. It's a large image for it. Flipping over to the next slide and seeing the rest of it, it's better, like we said, to have the CTA above the fold, whether it's, like we had talked about before, with a brief summary and then the CTA, or so on and so forth. So that would be my suggestions.
No worries. We hear one of your 5.
I apologize about that.
No, it's fine, man. It's 2020. Everything's okay. That's why we're here. Yeah, great point. I'm glad we have the whole email. Thank you, Christina, for doing that. By the way, all the credit goes to Christina for like turning a email into a like a PowerPoint page. Like, I don't know, it's magic, and capturing it so we can actually see the full thing. Yeah, there's so many important things of this. Some changes, right? Not a fan of this box company election series. So I'd kill that box. I do like how you have this night. You have a header, and then you have some text we can put in there. You are talking about who the presentation is going to be. So let's do that same look and feel that we were talking about earlier. Just because and it's not because everyone's doing it. Everyone's not doing it. So the idea of getting some content in at the top, right? Let's fill that header. By the way, let's make it shorter. Let's make that header shorter. Let's make it a little bit shorter. Let's make it like here, right? It's a little shorter. Do a register button, or you can always put the register button, right here or something like that. But do the register button, can't hurt. Title of it, date and time, anything like that. By the way, you can mix this up, but like title, why it's important, and then the graphic is like the TikTok to the days coming in a calendar, or whatever the case may be. But it's all up here, right? And then you've just moved everything up a little bit. Now you've got, maybe a paragraph, and then you've got the bullets like Christina had talked about before. Over here, let's do the presenter, because someone really smart is presenting this thing. Now I get we have two parts to it. So maybe even earlier you have like a headline saying part 1 right here. And we're talking about, it's a two-part series. There's a webcast and it's followed by this other event. Like there's things we're doing. People need to know about these things. And so you're going to tell them here in these bullets why they want to do it. And you have another call to action underneath there, right? So it really gets it all up front. People are like, oh, what's going on? Date, time, title, all that stuff. And it looks clean and it's designed and it's like, got it. Oh, it's part of your series, right? This series might go up here. Just so you let them know it's a part of a series. Our company's election series, this particular title, date and time, register now, boom, right? You need to know this. It's urgent. And then here's the stuff you can expect. Here's who's presenting this. Our president and CEO, it's fantastic. You want all those. That bio can go right underneath a photo so people know who is going to be laying down the law. And look, maybe just about one page, you have all that. And so then what you can do down below is put more detail if you want to do more detail down below. Maybe some of the questions that we ask. I like this. This what will happen, right? But you know what these bullets should do? These bullets should go up here. I am getting a little addicted to this drawing thing. Hope people are finding value with that because I'm having fun with it. But anyways, you see what I'm saying? Like, those are great questions. Put those up there. People can see them right toward the top. Cool. Anyone else? Anyone in the chat? Christina?
No, I would highly agree. I mean, kudos to them for writing those compelling questions in the bullets. We see it off to the side there because I just transferred the text over. But to Casey's point, move it up, get those topics right in front of your recipient's face. And then when they have that call to action right up top there, there'll be no need for them to scroll. They'll be able to just open it and then take action right from there.
Yeah. These questions are so interesting. Might even A/B test them as the subject. What will happen if there's a blue wave? Great question. If your audience knows what that means, probably do, then great. If not, at least it's a prime bullet. Think of 2 more. So 5 bullets. So it shows there's a lot of stuff and more, right, covered in this thing. Yeah, I'd be interested. Send me a link. And it's something to look into. Okay. Let me is this part of the same email?
Correct. This is the same email.
Sweet.
Remember how I said that there's 2 calls to action, the play
Gotcha.
the webcast. This is the second part where they're trying to drive the recipients now to register for their upcoming event.
Okay. So, okay. The webcast you can see now, and then the upcoming event is this.
Correct. Which one thing that that comes to mind, this is just an option that could be done, is almost making it into 2 separate emails.
Yeah.
Perhaps sending over that webcast first, And then maybe it's a few days later, or whichever makes sense for the sequence, to then send that follow-up, register for this email, you know what I mean? Register for this. And you could even segment out however you like. For example, if you know that the recipients, this group, watched the webcast, then maybe those people like get a personal email or something about the upcoming event, and then the rest still get this kind of marketing corporate email. But you can get creative with it when you separate it out into a 2 email sequence.
Yeah, great point on using automation. And it really, call to action wise, you can only have so many calls to action in one email. You can have like a secondary thing. So almost like going back to this previous one, at the bottom, you could have more information about the next thing. The thing is, it might take away from people seeing the webcast. So to Christina's point, pick a battle. I want everyone that gets this email to go to the webcast. And then at the webcast, you can then promote that thing. And then afterward, you have the follow-up, like Christina's saying, like, you saw the webcast, this carries on from it. You probably heard about it on the webcast. This is what comes next. And you can test that. And then you can also just straight up email people separately saying, here's this other thing, right? But that way you're not confusing them with too many different calls to action that you can take, because they may take none. It's almost like you have too many options and then you choose none. It's a good question. Cool. Chris, good joining. Thanks for joining us, man. All right. All right. Yeah. Great event. We just want to separately promote them. All right. What do we got here? By the way, anyone that has to drop, catch us on the recording. Otherwise, if you're here for the long haul, throw it in the chat. Who's here for the long haul? Who wants to get some more emails? Throw it in the chat. Now, take it away, Christina.
All right. So for this one, the audience, they're actually leads that the sales team has engaged with, either at like a conference, a trade show, or some type of event, who've expressed interest in these small device connector solutions that the email is discussing. And their goal is to get the recipient to their small devices page.
Gotcha. I would say be careful just telling people about a page. Pages don't inherently have value. One of the worst emails I receive, this is not it, but one of the worst ones I get is, Treasure Impact is launching a new web page. Go check this out, right? Those are the ones that always freak me out, because why do I want to check out your page? Like, why? What's in it for me? So my question really is always, what's in it for me? Now, I am a fan of how the header is professional. It has a brand, like something's happening here and it's professional. I'm down, and it gets right to the message. Maybe there's a little white space we can clear up there. But I like it, we're getting right to it. So that is good. And just in terms of what's the goal of this? If the goal of this is to get people to check out a page, like they're already a lead, it's a perfect time to give them some value. Give them something that's going to help their day out a little bit more. And then maybe they want to go to does your page do that? If it does do that, great. If it doesn't do that, I don't know. Now, if you just need them to go and make a purchase, that's okay too. But we just need to be very clear on like what we're trying to drive here. And just going just to a page usually isn't that, it's not really that strong of a call to me. Reading this like, oh, why we just launched, and just because and I know you're probably super proud of it, and you might have worked really hard on the page, and maybe it's beautiful, but nobody cares, right? It's all about what's in it for that person. And now I care, and I want this to work, but at the same time, we need to give them something that's going to motivate them to take that action. And it's some kind of, ideally you want to give them value here on this email, and give them more, promise them even more value on the page. Like, and consider, instead of calling it a small devices page, it's a small devices resources center, right? Or partner center, or small devices connector solution, small devices center of excellence, right? Something like that. If that's the terminology your industry uses. Now what you're alluding to is the fact that it's got a ton of content on there. It's got a ton of information. It's free. So the goal is just to simply educate people so they either make more purchases, or if they're a partner, they sell more of these things. You want to get them to the page. You're telling them this is a great resource, totally different. But when I see like, oh, it's a page recently launched, don't care. Access our full lineup. maybe this is good, but like maybe just the terminology, just letting them know why they want to go check this thing out. What do you guys think? I could be off. And by the way, if this is your page, you can secretly message me and tell me if there's any other things to think about with it. Tim.
I can jump in. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
It's the silent treatment between Christina and I know. So on the same wavelength as you, Casey. I'm more big towards why are we coming here, and is there a CTA? I go back to that every time. What do you want me to do from this page? What am I getting from this page? And I'm seeing the rest of the email. I have more about the whole email in particular on the next slide. But if I come into if I see this above the fold, and I have 4.
It's like the CNN thing where did some kid run in? Is that what happened?
That's what just happened. Yes.
That's awesome, man.
One of my other 5. So
it's usually me. I'm glad it's not me this time.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm losing my.
Hey, you got 5, man. No one else wrote down 5 on the chat. That's all good.
I have the most, yeah. But I just see a group of products, and I'd really like to know a little bit more of what those ones are.
Yeah.
Something that I was thinking about, even if I was just giving the background context of the email, something to consider could be to almost do a follow-up personal text email from the individual at the company at which they interacted with at that specific trade show or event. And then it's saying like, hey, like, I enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for stopping by. I know you expressed interest in some of our small device connectors. Here's an article of, blah, 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 of a success story or something like that. Or here's, the latest, like whether it's a white paper, whether it's an article, just again, to Casey's point, something of value, something to kind of further nurture that person's relationship with your brand and almost to keep piquing their interest. Your devices look, everything looks super impressive, but at the same time, I'm almost overwhelmed. I almost don't know what to do or where to look until I kind of calm down for a second and then actually read along the text. So just some things to think about.
Yeah, and the download the catalog. I moved to the next one here. I love the point, and I think it's a brilliant point, which is let's go back to, did a person send this or did a corporation send this, right? If a person sent this, exactly what you're saying, it needs to be, hey, great to connect. How's it going? Quick tip, blah, blah, blah. We have a resource page, by the way, that shows all the things. Which one are you most interested in? Right? It's from the sales rep that owns the person. Boom. Now you're just starting a little rapport with that person. Great. Opposite email will be the corporate email. And it starts out like that, corporate email, but then it says like I this, I that. You don't say I in a corporate email. It's we. Because we know it's not from an I. We know it's from you guys. So in this, instead of, if this was going to be about that, again, it's like, what's the goal? If you want them to get the catalog, cool. You want them to buy, cool. Check stuff. All these kind of learn more, download the catalog, stock check. Those might be some great call to actions right toward the top. Like, hey, we're here for you. There's a resource center here. And the 3 things you're going to find on it is individual product specs. You can actually download the catalog itself. You can actually do check stock right from here online with these quick, simple things. We're here for you, blah, blah, blah. And it's now it's an email they keep. They drag it to the right folder. They keep it. They star it because it's like, you could even say in the email, keep this email. Most, 88% of our top partners keep this email saved in their inbox, and they use it to go to the right links. Like instead of bookmarking, they just do this. Bookmark this email, right? So you could like make it a resource for email if the goal is just to get them clicking on things, or if you want the rep to get some value, you do that one, or you just do both. That way, no matter what, you get them with the message.
I'm gonna throw something else out there too,
Yeah.
Casey. It's all packed into the middle, in spacing visually wise with that top
Thank you.
imagery. It just seems to be all there. I would suggest, spread it out. Give it a 3 column. So then you would have, 2 columns of your products there. Give a little bit of white space around it with the CTA below it. That way, it's going to give you a more clean thing too.
I do love the blue call to actions on there. I'd love to see those up higher. Love to see those up higher. Even consider the stock check. I've seen this work really well in some emails. You put like the form where they put in the part number, they put in what they're looking for or whatever with a stock check call to action below, but it's all one big image. So if they click to try to enter their data on the stock check, it just takes them to the actual stock check, So right on the email, it has like a couple fields, like it's a form with the stock check below. Check stock now. Boom. But anything they click on, even if they try to add their own data, it takes them to the stock check, So you could do that. And yeah, the parts look impressive. So just maybe it's a matter of what you want to have happen here. I would do both emails, honestly. That I could see that being working really well. Have a whole email just for your catalog. That sounds great too. So again, back to the idea of this could be a 3 email sequence. We have a resource page. Do you have our catalog? And then why you should get it and what's in there and blah, blah, like the things that are helpful. Here's a, on that email, there's like a page, a screenshot of a catalog page saying, look at all the things. We had this for every part and piece. Here, get the download for the digital catalog here, right? And you have now you have a sequence. If you give them all 3 of these call to actions, they may do one, they may not do any, right? But you're like, nope. Today we want you to check your stock. Try it. Try how easy it is to check stock here. Right here from this email. Click on this thing. And they click and it goes to the web page. Look how easy that was, right? So you give them a single action to take. And then to Christina's earlier point, use sequencing, use some of that automation to make it powerful. Good stuff. Let's do this one. Pa-pa.
All right, so the goal of this one is to get their recipients to download their white paper, and
Okay.
it's going to their prospects.
Okay. Download the white paper. Got it. All right, Tim. Style Bubba, what do you think?
I agree. A lot of white space on the top. Again, if we can just shrink that down a little bit, and right off the bat, I would look for a CTA somewhere up in there for downloading that white paper. I do love the imagery on it, though. It's impactful. Definitely can tell what they're talking about with the continuous alcohol monitoring, the breath testing. So yeah, throw in a CTA there. Make it. I'm always big on keeping the headers to around 300 to 400 height. I think it's a good size. Anything above that gets a little bit too much taking of real estate above the fold. But again, it's catchy.
Nice. Christina, what do you got?
I also think that the call to action should be towards the top somewhere on here. If the goal is to get the recipients to download the white paper, download your content, they may not scroll. When they open the email, this is the first thing that they see. The imagery is beautiful, but maybe consider putting the call to action somewhere in there.
Totally. Header image is compelling. I love the idea. I've never heard that before. 300, 400. Thank you. That's the smaller that we've been talking about the whole time. Great. We have a size now for that. Integrate the logo with the header so you don't have to take up that whole space, right? That pushes everything down. Love the idea of a click on this image because that takes you to where you need to go. And I know we need to keep moving. So one thing I'll just add is I believe the people sending this are advocating for the continuous alcohol monitoring, right? But I will say from the colors of this thing, the breath testing almost has the more favorable look because it's this sort of bright blue, and the dark green and dark aqua and the black over here in the continuous alcohol monitoring looks like it's the villain in this picture. But I get from maybe the description down below, maybe it isn't the villain. Maybe we actually want people to understand, or maybe they're both equal, but from the, be careful with colors because we can kind of make out, it looks like, oh, breath testing is the hero here. Evil continuous alcohol monitoring is like lame, but it sounds like it's actually the opposite. It's like breath testing once, like that doesn't happen. You need the continuous thing. So it's almost like flip those colors, breath testing, bleh, continuous monitoring. That's what it is. And maybe it's like gold instead of blue or whatever, but just like consider that the way the colors are, it just emphasizes one or the other. And then, yeah, cool call to action down below. Let's just move that puppy up, keep it there, but then have one in that header image too. And I do like this graphic right here.
Mm-hmm.
Dare to compare. Cool. Dare to compare. Maybe that's even the header, but move it higher. That looks really cool. And these, by the way, these pie charts, move those higher too. Those are interesting. So that's good stuff, and maybe some bullets, but moving it all higher so that people can just take action on that. Good stuff.
You know, another thing I noticed.
Yeah.
The breath testing circle is bigger than the other. That's why I'm looking to think that it's a little bit more.
See, we're being influenced, and who would have thought? If you just have this icon or whatnot from another PDF and another project you're working on, but yeah, it's bigger and it's more colorful, so it makes me feel like it's the boss. So
Yeah.
Reverse that whole process and make continuous alcohol monitoring the boss if you want, or make them the same if you really just want the comparison. Make them all the same color and everything if you're just trying to get them to compare. Cool. What do we got?
All right. So for this one, they're trying to educate their prospects and their audiences, insurance companies, on 2 of their products. And the ultimate goal is to get them to click through after reading about their 2 products to their landing page.
All right. Right away. A lot of people put this in default templates and it drives me crazy. Just kill this. It's like saying, did we fail our job at marketing to make it look the right way? If so, here's an out. Nope, skip that. Big kid rules, you get rid of that. And then the logo is going to go into the header. What else we got? What do you guys see?
So it's to educate the audience on the 2 products. And I do reading in the paragraph now, I see that the 2 products are mentioned because I know what the next slide looks like. But at the same time, if someone was just doing a quick scan, look at this, the 2 products aren't exactly standing out to them quite yet. So just something to consider. It is now below the fold, but think about how you could possibly get those 2 products to really showcase them above the fold when the recipient first opens the email.
Yeah. You know what? I was like, I really want 2 columns, and you gave me 2 columns. So that's great. Move that up. And you know what? These graphics, maybe put those graphics at the bottom here, because we already have a cool graphic at the top, and those graphics don't really support that. I mean, it's nice because it as a theme, or as and it's cool to have graphics in there. So cool. But if anything, put them at the bottom. That way, these titles go right up to the top. And you know what? I would challenge if we need to have an introductory paragraph, because otherwise this gets moved right up here. So we get rid of these images where they're at. And now right here, right above the header, right below the header, and we'll make it shorter header so it fits Tim's 300, right? You could do that. Oh, and then company logo, right? Company logo's in here. And then you still have that. That way you get rid of this whole block. Now you've moved everything up so high. You've got a nice strong header, and you've got these 2 topics right in there. And now just with these blue paragraphs, consider some text, but it's hard when you don't have that much room. So consider bullets quickly, maybe 1 quick paragraph, and then get right into bullets. And then can you have separate learn more buttons? That would be awesome. I know we say don't give them too much call to action, but that's appropriate. You got these 2 powerful different things. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Good stuff. We got some great emails. People have sent in some really good emails.
Casey, what's your thought on colored backgrounds with text on it? Do you feel
good challenge?
It's hard to read sometimes? It's a little bit harsher on the eyes. I know that it's a good breakaway. It's a good visual to be able to, have something stand out.
Yeah.
But do you change the color of the title and leave the content that's in blue flip it out to a regular content type thing.
It's a great challenge. I wouldn't put the title in that. So knowing that,
Not
would
in
I
that,
put, yeah,
but
you're
just a
right. Maybe
different
just
color.
a box instead of a nice one of your
Something like it.
shaded boxes instead of,
Yeah.
like a shaded box instead of it can be kind of old school or just like old school HTML to just shade a box, especially that color blue. It's kind of like, that's like a kid blue. I don't want to be like disrespectful, but that's kind of like that. Don't make your call to action that color, but I don't know. It did draw my attention. I didn't kill it when I saw it, but you're right. Having that text on there could be challenging. A nice little sexy shaded box might be nice, right? A little bit of background right here, so it's shaded. God, my drawing, but don't worry, I don't draw your emails, people. But yeah, a little like it pops, but then you can actually still read it with black. That might be nice. That's a good call. Good call. Team Jesh unites, takes on your emails. Let's do this. All right, what do we got?
All right. This next one is the audience is their partners, and they're trying to get them to register for their virtual partner conference coming up.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I was gonna say, when is it? But I had stuff covering all the different windows. So we got that done there. Is this an email?
It is an email. Yes,
Wow.
This is an email.
Well, first of all, I love
it.
the graphic. I can see why we put it on there. Kudos. 10 art points to Gryffindor for this one. Very cool. I just move it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just move it up. Have this cool thing, move it up. I know you have the black space up here. You can put some title in, but we got to condense this. Now, I do think when you have a partner conference like this, real or virtual, having a well-designed background like this gives it credibility, like high production value. This is going to be the thing to not miss, which people a lot of like to miss virtual stuff these days. So I just condense it and get, you got art and you're like, ooh, wow. And then it's like, why do I need to attend? And consider not making the ask the headline either. That can be kind of brochure-like to join the company for the join, right? Discover the, like maybe just says discover the power of connections, which by the way, brilliant. I didn't come up with that, but I said it and I sounded really smart saying it. Like that sounds cool. Wow. The annual, our annual conference is now virtual. Discover the cool. And when the date's really prominent, all this can be done in the header, right? Maybe that's the theme that you're making up for the email of the thing. But anyways, I love it. Discover the power of connections. October 2020. That's a cool date as well. Just kind of get it all up there and then make this whole image clickable. What do you guys think?
I would agree with that. And as you go to the next slide and you see the whole thing, love the whole email. I love how it's layered. I love how it's visually. Love the orange.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, we got some design. Does anyone want a design job? We're hiring.
I'm digging this. I'm digging this one. I like the CTAs. The only thing that I would suggest, like Casey said, with the top, with the header, this is a good place where you could necessarily implement the VML where it's on top of an image. With the content on top. That way you can get, your title, you can get your CTA and the date and, what it's about on top of that really cool visual. And then as you go down, just seeing the layers, it's visually, I love it.
Great contrast, great colors.
Yeah.
You know what? It's a much better email seeing it like this. So when I first saw it, and we do that on purpose, so all we see is like basically the fold, what's above the fold. And when I just saw that graphic, I was like, oh, well, okay, cool. Graphic, but I will go. That. You have the bullets already. I guess my point is like, you have the bullets, you have the short text, you have that all right. Power of connections and the call to action. Cool. Just make this. Everything moves up. Keep going. Yeah.
And I do have to go back on because I know that I talked about reading text on backgrounds is hard sometimes. I do like a dark email at times, every once in a while, especially on a black and white. To me, that's pretty cool. At times, I know the industry standard, I don't think that they really like to go on white.
Yes. But you know
black
what?
On a white on a black.
I know this is you, Christina, or like people tell me this, not orange, right? I'm a big fan of orange, as you can tell. I like orange. My wall has orange. My hat has orange. But orange on black is what's coming up in 30 days from now. It's Halloween. So it's not usually a good combination. So may consider something else for that. But what else would you put there, right? Disagree or okay with the orange and black?
I understand where you're coming from. I don't know what else. You can't really do a bolded white.
True.
Then it gets lost with being the headline.
Blue would hurt your eyes.
Well, I like a teal blue, a nice
Okay.
teal blue on an aqua blue, not too bright or vibrant, but a
Yeah.
muted blue is safe. But again, that blue doesn't go with this email. This email, if you flip to the next slide, we're all talking about orange here. So
Right, but
it's
also
kind of,
this cool image at the beginning has purples, some
yeah,
reds,
that's
and
true.
oranges. So I see it makes sense. It probably ties into, okay, there's orange there, there's orange here. So I'm not end all be all for sure. And I know you've got orange down below, but just consider it. But if you make that shorter,
Yep.
then you may not even notice it. But yeah, that's a good point. The contrast of the text is powerful.
Agreed.
All right, let's get into it. What's next, Christina? Let's talk about, those are your emails. By the way, we'll probably do this again. So send us your emails if you want to check them out. Go ahead.
So this is, just wanted to share a little bit more about the new drag and drop email coming out. And I'll refer to Tim a lot for this one to kind of give his opinion on it. But the reason why we see Mr. Malcolm Jenkins' face in the bottom right-hand corner is because Malcolm is going to be doing a deeper dive into the new email builder at the end of the month. And that'll be on October 27th at 4:00 p.m. And then we'll get that registration link in the chat for you as well. But just a quick overview so far. So the drag and drop email builder, for those of you that may not know too much about it yet, you can insert whole components in there without knowing any custom code. That is the beauty of this, is that if you don't have a creative team, you have limited resources, you can give this a try. And then I do know that there some features aren't really rolled out quite yet with it, but it's just interesting to try and play around with it. And then that way, like, when you have your emails coming up, like for example, that virtual event, that was a beautiful email. Only Tim could do something like that for sure, Tim or Malcolm, because that was beautiful. But these are just some of the highlights about the new email builder coming up. Tim, any thoughts on just any of these features before getting into kind of what features aren't really about it yet, or considerations?
Yeah, no. So I'm gonna put a plug out there real quick. I was on the webinar. I saw a little bit of a sneak preview of it there, and biggest thing for it, simple. It's a simple drag and drop. If you are not tech savvy, this is a way for you to be able to get those emails out, make it so it doesn't break in your inboxes, that it is going to, across the platforms, whether it's Outlook or anything else, it's going to be responsive. It's going to work for you. Can you get into the complicated ones like the last one? No, unfortunately you can't. But can you get in, design an email within 15 minutes, be able to send it, test it within the Lightning experience? Yes. From there, are you able to test it? Are you able to preview it? Yes. And on top of that, one of the big ones that came out of it, I think, is being able to resend an email. This functionality has it that you can literally just click a button and it resends, where you have to go into the old one, you have to make a copy, you have to do this, you have to go there. Now it's just a one button thing. So there are restrictions to it, like them all, unfortunately, but it's a good start, like where it's going, and being able to make it a little bit easier for the users.
Yeah, trade-offs. And it's the first part, it's out. So it'll just keep going from there. I think it's a great move. And what's cool is it'll just we'll continue to see it change and get better and have things to it. But I mean, for sure, we wouldn't be consulting with people if we didn't tell you to be careful about certain things. And the idea that you need a Salesforce CMS as a part of it's an interesting conversation for another day. But there is a lot of really cool stuff to it. A lot of really cool stuff. How do you prepare is a great question. Pardot Lightning has to be enabled, right? This is like table stakes these days. So you need that. You need connected campaigns done. And if you're not sure about those things, the Pardot Life Hacks webinar, Pardot Life Hacks podcast is a great place to start. Jen does a great job going into those details. We also have a webinar on connected campaigns. It's table stakes. You got to get those things done. HTML, got to turn it on, and Salesforce CMS. We're going to start talking about that more and more these days as we get closer and closer to it. But just keep an eye open for that one. Okay. Tim, give us some tips.
Definitely.
Help
Just
us
a
out.
little bit of we'll keep it short and sweet to this one. When you're designing your emails, when you're making them, again, as we go through and we're kind of looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly of the emails, one of the things to make sure of is if you do have images, put some alt text in there. Microsoft Outlook is the bad guy of all emails considered. A lot of people don't have images turned on. They don't like to have them turned on. So when you have an email full of images, it comes through as blank space. Try to know what to use. You put an alt tag in there. Now you're going to be able to know what that image is. It's going to show up. So then they could click on it. I would highly suggest against using CTAs as images, just an FYI, for the mere fact of if someone has images turned off, that CTA is not going to show. A lot of people like to make their buttons really cool with a drop shadow and a gradient and everything. Problem is, it's not going to show up in Outlook if they have them turned off. So
that's a really good point. When you make your call to action now, still have them, but also have some non-graphical call to action, and just assume that no one, like the best is to assume that these graphics are pretty, but assume someone sees none of those. What do they see now? And hopefully there's some text that says click here, not click here, but like there's text that has your call to action. That's a really good point.
Absolutely. Next one is I'm a fan of short emails. I know newsletters can get long or everything, but there is actually, Microsoft Outlook does cut off at around 1700 pixels. It just stops, and it's because of how it's a word editor type, and that's the biggest problem with Outlook. It renders your HTML emails out of a word editor, so it kind of will truncate them and things like that. So shorter better for that one. Move down real quick. I love pre-header text. You can have it hidden on desktops, but it's a great real estate. It's a great extension of the subject line. Being able to continue that subject line gives you roughly 45 to 70 characters more in your subject line and a pre-header text. That way, when it comes into your inbox in Outlook, you have the subject line. Right underneath is the preview text of it. Perfect for adding onto that subject. I've even been at companies where they've actually put downloadable links inside of a pre-header text. So you put your register button now right above at the top of the page, it's there. Or a lot of places had them actually visually there. Some people like to hide them. Kind of going off of Casey with the view online button, kind of having both of them there is it's a your call kind of thing.
Yeah, go pre-header. Love that. I think people can really leverage that. Just get your point across. It's a little bit like it supports the subject line. It's a smart move.
Yeah. Negative space, white space, love it. Whenever you have things all jumbled up, I don't want to read it. Getting it aired out, having a little, don't get too much. It's kind of a fine line. You're thin ice there, but having the correct columns and the correct, stacking of stuff and being able to know what point you want to get across in a visually clean email is a good way to start off. So, moving down real quick for the mobile rendering, a lot of places you have to check it to make sure. Testing we do at Cheshire, we use Litmus. No, not Litmus. That's in Pardot. We actually use Email and Acid on ours too. But there could be problems. You could have an image flipping the wrong way and it would go above or below the content. Doesn't make any sense. Things like that. Or you could have two columns that are flipping and then your content is completely off. And sometimes if it's not even mobile responsive at all, then it's going to be small on your device. It's going to be hard to read. So yeah, it's a mobile rendering. I don't know the actual stat for it, but I know that it's above half that people kind of check their stuff on mobile
Mm-hmm.
to be
Really
able to, yeah.
It's like table stakes. And I'm thinking we should even do a webinar later on, whenever, a webinar on mobile and responsiveness. I'd love to pick your brain on that.
Absolutely. I would totally be game for that. And last one is one of my favorites is background images. Outlook doesn't display them. It actually does with the VML code, but it's intense. I will put it out there. Getting it to actually render correctly, you have to know your code. It's updating. It's a little bit tricky getting it in there, but it's very much worth it. Like we had talked about with the previous emails with the real estate, that's real estate that you get to save. It doesn't bump your email down. It puts it on back of that nice visual background, getting that CTA above the fold, perfect for it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. I know how to do it. So that's the fun part on my side of things. There's a lot of fun tutorials and things like that you can, Google up and find out and figure out. Lots of people are trying it too and putting it in, and it does work on, your outlooks that you do. You just have to make sure you know the right tips and tricks and hacks kind of thing.
That's awesome. Great, man. Thank you. We wanted to end off here with some resources for everyone. There's a lot of resources for everyone. Webinars, CheshireImpact.com/webinars. We have recordings on all sorts of different topics like this. Me dressing like a cowboy, Pardot Email Outlaws, all about email deliverability. Executing Pardot Nurture campaigns. We have the webinar coming up as well. The Hardcore Marketing Show, Pardot Life Hacks, 2 podcasts for you. Hardcore Marketing is all about marketing strategy. Pardot Life Hacks is all about getting things done on Pardot. The Marketing Automation Unleashed, that's my book, live on Amazon right now. And there's also lots of different articles for you to read, release notes, all sorts of great stuff for you, available now. There's our CSI. We do have a roadmap for Pardot for marketing automation, if you don't already know about that. And for those of you who are interested either on this or on the recording, if you send us an email, or if you're here now live, you can just type in CSI if you'd like to do an assessment of Pardot. And if you're listening to the recording, one of the things that we do is we do free Pardot assessments, and they take about 25 minutes. Okay, there we go. About 25 minutes, and we help you figure out where you're at with Pardot, where you need to go. And then if you do an assessment with us, we actually send you a copy of my book straight from Amazon to your front door. So you have that guidebook to be able to help you figure out where to go, what kind of strategies to use. So that is available for you guys. And we've seen a lot of great responses from that. And with that, it's Q&A, and we will end the recording and say goodbye to all of our friends in recording land.